Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Today we have negotiations on behalf of our shareholders. Uh, so um, I'm the representative of the Mr. Richard, and I want to present my suggestions to amend shareholders agreement or articles of association of the company Go Wireless. So the first thing I want to propose is that my client, Mr. Richard, wants to have exclusive retail trading rights. As clause 6 of the articles of association states that a director may have an interest in transactions and arrangements since he has notified other directors and shareholders of the nature and extent of his interest. He may act in his interests. Also in clause 2.2 and 2.3 of shareholders agreement, it is said that the shareholder must act in order to prosper and achieve the success of the company. So you can take into account that the fact that Mr. Richard's retail stores are already established for a long time and have their customers, demand, and the name in the market, this market is already trusted. So since the market is one of the company's shareholders market, we can trust it, yeah. And one more thing about this, that the profit from the sales of the products of the Go Wireless company will be received not only by Richard, Mr. Richard, but also by other shareholders, since the sales are directly related to the companies. So the next issue I have is that my client, Mr. Richard, wants more shares than John and Melanie because of their bargaining positions. So particularly 30%. So however, neither the article nor the agreement of shareholders agreement mentions class of shares the company has. Therefore, we would like to suggest that we will add to clause 1.1 of shareholders agreement that shares can be of any class and shareholders can acquire the class that he would like to have, upon, of course, other shareholders. And after approving this change, if it will be, Richard would like to have 30% of preference shares, as mentioned above, at the expense of the trading positions of John and Melanie. And the last point is that Mr. Richard would like to legalize the preliminary agreement and maintaining a relationship with Melanie to resolve issues of mutual interest to them. Provided that they will have no conflict of interest. According to clause 14.2 of shareholders agreement, such agreements may be a violation of terms, and therefore we propose to amend this clause so that it will not prohibit shareholders from entering into such agreements. But at the same time, such picture can be observed that when voting, the results are divided by 50-50, which leads to deadlock. The issue can be resolved by voting by hands. However, in our case, 4 shareholders, and that also will lead to deadlock. And according to clause 5.1 of the article, the chairman doesn't have a casting vote in the event of deadlock. And we would like to propose to change this point, and as a result, the solution will be the introduction of the casting vote for the chairman of the company, which Mr. Richard would like to become with the consent of other shareholders. And however, if shareholders will not agree, we would like to propose another way out of the deadlock, it's Russian roulette. And that's my suggestions, and other representatives can start.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. Today I am representing my client, Beatrice, who is also an owner of wholesale company. And there are several objectives which my client believes to or hopes to achieve. So first of all, Beatrice wants exclusive wholesale rights for her company and adding a distribution clause to the shareholders' agreements with a provision for entrenchment, stating that the clause will not be amended until Beatrice agrees to do so. The second one is the Beatrice wants to have more shares, as my colleague mentioned, Richard and my colleague mentioned John and Melanie has a strong bargain power because of their IP rights, and Melanie because of her foundings and others. So Beatrice, as a Richard, wants more shares, and she believes that she can get even more shares than 30%, example of which can be 35% to avoid deadlocks, as was mentioned above. So also, Beatrice wants to add a warranty clause for paying the shares, purchasing the shares, stating that every shareholder who will fail to pay the full amount of the share until the certain date should be subject to buy out the share by other shareholders and exercising their preemption rights. Also, Beatrice wants John to guarantee that his IP rights will not be exercised in a manner which will contradict to the interests of the company, and wants him to take either risk in, and if done so, she wants to make sure that they will receive a remedy for that. It will be in a form of either buyout provisions or calling an option. Also, Beatrice wants to enter a legally binding agreement with John, which was also mentioned by Richard, and wants to enact clause 14.2 of shareholders agreement, to which do not allow any voting agreements, and wants to add as a remedy call option if John will breach the terms of the voting agreement. So that's all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm representing Melanie. She's one of the shareholders who is going to invest into the company more funds compared to others. And that's why she needs voting rights in order to in order to be able to have a right to to influence the decision on attracting new creditors to the company. So I need the consent of the board to grant her with the voting with the possibility of the getting voting agreement. That's the first point. And from the and she also concerns about the possibility of the company if it goes public. She wants to have a possibility of recouping her investments by selling the shares, or she also wants to have an option to turn her loans to shares, or vice versa. So she's demanding the consent of the board grant her with a convertible loan agreement if the board give its consent. So basically, this is the two terms that we are demanding for.
Hello, everyone. I'm representing Mr. John. Mr. John is one of the members of this company, shareholder, and he has some IP rights and he has strong bargaining power. And in this case, he wants ability to sell his licenses to another parties. And in this case, I want to change 8th paragraph of shareholders agreement, and especially 8.3, in case to give Mr. John the ability to sell his licenses. I think it will be good for our company and help to develop it in the future. That's all.
Thank you. So let's start negotiating our objectives, which we want to achieve. The first issue I want to negotiate is with Reacher. Our clients wants one wholesale right, another one wants to retail right, but we all know that the company will have only one product, and I offer to distribute it 50 to 50. So 50% of products will be for wholesale and the 50% of products for retail. And so the Richard will get what he wants and Beatrice will get what she wants. But Richard should agree to sell 10% of his shares to Beatrice.
Oh, so I want to disagree on behalf of my client, Richard, with your propose, and make a counter propose. So what about 30% of wholesale trading rights and 70% of retail trading rights? And then I will sell you 5% of my shares, of my client's shares, I'm sorry.
We both know that the profit made from one item in the retail always about 2 or 3 times more than the profit made from one item in the wholesale. So it's absolutely impossible to accept the conditions of 30 to 70%. And because Beatrice will be in a huge loss, because like 30% is something really little for her. But we accept that you may not take the offer of 50 to 50 and want to make it at least 40 to 60, 60 for retailing. Do you agree with that? And of course, 5% of your shares.
What about 65 for retail and 20 or 35 for wholesale?
No.
Okay, let's do it. 30. Oh, I'm sorry. 43% of wholesale and 67% of retail trade sale. Right.
67?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I mean 50. So yeah.
Yes, it's okay. But if the way it will go this way, Beatrice also wants, as John showed his interest in possibility of selling his shares in the future. Beatrice wants the right for call option in a case when John will sell his shares and exercise her right of preemption before other shareholders will exercise it.
Okay, that's okay. And what about if Mr. Richard will have the same right, but only for Melanie's shares?
I'm okay with that if others will agree. So, colleagues, do you agree all to do so?
Yes, I agree with that.
I'm pretty okay with it.
Okay, thank you. So we have come up with the with the fact that Beatrice will purchase 5% of shares of Richard. Also, she will get 43% of products for the wholesale, and she also will get the exclusive rights, which will be and should be included in shareholders agreement, while Richard will get the 57% of retail rights and 25% of shares, as well as the right to exercise his preemption right regarding the shares belonging to the Melanie before other shareholders will do. Right?
Yes.
Also, Richard wanted to have a casting vote in a shareholders agreement, in the shareholders meeting. So he wants to be a chairman in the meeting, right? As I remember. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But usually the chairman of the shareholders agreement should be the person with the majority of the shares. But still, as a Beatrice, also the owner of the another company and also has some other work to do, we will agree on this term if Beatrice will become a non-executive director, which means she will not be a full-time employed by the company. She will be non-executive director plus chairman of the meeting of directors, not shareholders. Any objections?
From my point
Chairman
of
of
view,
directors,
Yeah,
yes.
directors meeting.
But does it work like that? That for shareholders, the agreements must be unanimous. So whether there is a need for chairman of shareholders.
Not always, because Richard wants to be chairman of meeting of shareholders, but there are some situations when the shareholders means ordinary resolution. It means simple majority. And as we know, our company has decided to, by default, have a voting by raising a hand. And it means if we are 4 people, 4 shareholders in the company, there can be a cases of deadlock in the ordinary resolution, and that is where Richard will have a casting vote and will have a power to decide on which way the resolution will be made. So just Beatrice wants the same right, but regarding to directors meeting, not shareholders, which is a quite different saying, and also this will not exclude duty to act within the power for the directors, which shareholders obviously do not have.
But how can you be Beatrice can be a non-executive director and also a chairman of directors? Is it possible?
yeah.
If it is, I'm okay with that. If it is, I'm okay then.
It is
Like
okay to.
acting.
No, it's okay to be non-executive director and chairman of meeting of directors.
Then
Okay,
okay.
then, yeah, I totally
Thank
agree
you.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Beatrice will be and the colleague who represents John, do you agree for Beatrice being a chairman of meeting of directors?
Yes, I agree with this.
Oh, thank you.
And with the Richard, yeah, also?
Yeah,
You will have a casting vote, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
so
Okay,
with Richard, my client agrees.
Okay. What about Melanie, guys?
So Melanie, it's for Beatrice, it's absolutely possible to accept the convertible
not-
loan agreement if you want.
Yes, it is also in your favor to do so, because after the company goes public, you can also convert your loans
But
into the equity.
convertible loan agreement should be only regarding and issuing a new shares, not the existing shares.
Yes, I think after the IPO, initial public offering, you will issue some shares in the name of the company. So
Yeah.
I think you will have no
Absolutely.
problem with it.
Also, Beatrice wanted to incorporate the term which do not allow directors to allow the new shares. It should be only decision of shareholders, not directors.
Can you repeat, please, yourself?
Beatrice wanted to incorporate the term which will not allow directors to allow the new shares to issue a new shares. Issuing a new shares should be only the decision of shareholders by special resolution, not the decision of directors.
Yeah, probably. But after the company goes public, you should get rid of this resolution in the article.
Yes,
This provision, because it will be inevitable to go so.
Yep. It's only for private companies as was guaranteed by statute. But
unless
still,
Unless the company goes public, yeah. This, yeah. Okay.
But still, while we are private companies, Beatrice wants some guarantees that there will not be a new shares which will change the game drastically. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. As long as it is already stipulated in the Articles of Association, we have this provision, so no worries.
Yep. So just do not exclude this.
Okay. What about voting agreement, guys?
We want to have a voting agreement with Richard.
Yeah.
And amend the 40.2 clause regarding voting agreement of shareholders agreement.
Yes.
What can you repeat? You're gonna have a voting agreement with Richard?
Yep. So I think Beatrice agrees in the amendment of 14.2 clause, which prohibits any voting agreement. So we want voting agreement also. So let's exclude this clause from the shareholders agreement.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So you say that there is a possibility of creating a voting agreement, am I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But what happens if you're making an agreement with Richard? Then the Melanie, our client, my client, is deprived of such rights, the right of voting. What happens in such situation?
What do you mean?
We will look. We will look to the intention of our clients, don't we? Because my client, Mr. Richard, wants to preliminary agreement with
Melanie.
Melanie, yes, with Miss Melanie. So there's the one point intention of our clients.
Yeah, because both of them are relying on each other.
So what's the issue?
You can't make a voting agreement with Richard. That's the issue.
So me and my colleague representing Richard offered excluding term 14.2, which prohibits voting agreement, which means if we will exclude this term, we will have a
We
right to
may
enter a
enter,
voting
yeah.
agreement.
Yes,
Yeah.
unless there is no conflicts of interest.
Yeah, this will be regarding the terms of voting agreement itself. So another question, if we want to incorporate voting agreement to the shareholders agreement, or we want to make it as a separate contract between two shareholders.
We should add into the shareholders agreement the allowance of that agreement. We should allow,
Yes.
yeah, just allowance.
No, not allowed.
And
The voting agreement itself. So
what do you,
it's like a contract. Voting agreement is a contract between two parties, which will say that they will stay side by side in the votings and so on. And it also has its terms and others. So do you want it to be incorporated to shareholders agreement, or we will go with separate contracts between two of us?
better to go with separate contract, but in a shareholders agreement, we should exclude the part where it says that no party shall subcontract or contract themselves of his rights and obligations under the agreement, under the shareholders agreement. We should
Yeah, I
get rid of
think
this provision or change
yeah,
it.
separate contract for agreement and change provision 14.2.
Yes. Or we can say that only two types of agreement are acceptable. It's the convertible loan agreement and voting agreement.
Okay.
We just make the provision. Okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay with it? John?
Yes.
You're so silent.
Mr.
Yes, I
John?
agree with that.
Okay, then perfect.
Then we will have a separate contract between John and Beatrice and Richard with Melanie, which will stay voting agreement, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, John, representative of John, Beatrice wants some guarantees that you will not escape a voting agreement contract with any wish. So she wants to add the clause of remedies for call option, which means if you will breach the terms of the voting agreement, Beatrice will have a call option to call for your shares. She will she will buy your shares if you will breach any terms of voting agreement. And it also works vice versa. If Beatrice will breach any terms of voting agreement, you also have a right for call option. Are you okay with that?
Isn't it
Yeah.
too onerous, like very difficult for both parties to do so? To like getting their shares, it's like a very big thing.
No,
Could you repeat, please?
it's just a remedy for breaching. You may also have the same thing with Richard.
Mr. Richard, yeah.
If you want.
But getting their shares is, I think, unfair, even if it's breach of duty. There should be some kind of other remedy, not the getting their shares.
This is the survey you agreed with John, so you have nothing to do with that. It's a separate contract. I offered you to incorporate these terms to shareholders agreement, but you offered a separate contract, and as a separate contract, you have nothing to do with it.
Yes, from my point, it's okay, but it is onerous for you. I mean, you as a shareholder representing your client. Onerous decision.
No, my clients agrees with this decision.
Okay, I'm pretty okay with it then. Okay.
We had 9 minutes, so let's discuss the issue of IP rights.
Yes, I wanted to disagree with John for non-exclusive license. And I want to propose on behalf of Mr. Richard to grant him grant the company exclusive license for some time, like until the company will be established.
Until the company makes success?
Yes, until the yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you should
Eh.
put some limitation.
Yes, I wanted to put maybe 10 years limitation, and maybe then we will discuss one more time about the exclusive and non-exclusive license issue.
I think that 10 years is so long. I think 5 years is enough. So the company became more stronger. What do you think about it?
5 years, but remember,
Yeah.
as a director, you still have no right to have an interest in any competing company. So if you stay director, you will still have no right to sell them your IP rights.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
Okay,
then
then.
Beatrice agrees.
Yes, on these conditions, Mr. Richards will also agree.
So if we have reached mutual agreement, let's consider this negotiation ended. Thank you for all of you. And
Thank you for participation and meeting our client's objectives. Thank you very much.
yes, we will communicate
for your
further
attention.
via email.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.